that was supposed to take care of the program. When James got it messed up.
Right.
But I what's the name of it? Mary Hopkins supposed to go that part. She knows those.
Stop on the front and you can't stop right there before that. Right. Yeah, so like I said, it is what it is. Oh, yeah.
That's what was the hospital. They got the cycle jack on that shit. They gave me that money. So, my glasses are tore up. Shit, I can't read that. They said that's gonna be it. She said next week.
Right.
Yeah.
She really was wrong. I thought she was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I expected it. Yeah, I expected it. It's not like I didn't expect it, but I did. But I stand on God. I stand on God. You know, if you stand, I'm with you. God spoke to me.
All right, everybody ready? Okay, today is Thursday, February the 26th. This is our regular city council meeting. We will call the meeting to order if everyone will stand for the pledge and prayer.
Father, in the name of Jesus, we come before you. Thank you for this opportunity to lift up your holy and righteous name. We pray, Lord God, and plead the blood of Jesus Christ over this meeting, and we ask that your Holy Spirit will be the guide and direct the things that are taking place. We pray, Lord God, that every decision that is made is be for the betterment of this city that you've named Tallulah. And we pray that everything be done decent and in order, and most of all that you be praised and glorified. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Y'all know it's a little warm in here. It's crazy Louisiana weather. Gerald, can we have a roll call, please?
Wells.
Here.
Day.
Here.
Harris.
Here.
Houston.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Next item on the agenda is public comments on the agenda. Do we have any public comments on the agenda? If not, we will move on to item number 5, approval of the minutes of the February 12, 2026 regular meeting. I have a copy of your packets. Are there any corrections that need to be made from anyone?
Yes, ma'am. On the second page, first paragraph after it says motion carried, and it starts talking about when you presented to the council the city's water rehabilitation. It didn't include the statement that you made in regards to whether or not Magnolia would have to be on board or the city would have to contract Magnolia Patterson. You had made that statement.
Oh, when I talked about the next contracts will be between Tallulah and Magnolia and Tallulah and Joseph, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, because that's not in the minutes.
Add that, all right. Anybody have any other?
And then, the paragraph under that says, motion is second to approve a proposal for renovation work at the community center consisting of paint work. I think that the company that was awarded that bid should be included in the minutes. The name of that company is not included.
Anything else?
Another comment since we're talking about that. You have water up here on number 7. I can wait till then. You want me to?
I'm sorry.
Number 7 is the water up here. I can wait until then. Or I can.
Hold on just 1 second, you haven't been recognized.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay?
I would like to add something too, when Mr. Wells read from Robert's Rules of Order where the mayor could comment 2 times and the council comment once.
You want to include that?
After the first, second, third, fourth paragraph on the second page.
What we'll do is we'll go back and listen to the tape and see exactly what it was to make sure that was in the right place. I'm sure it was right in that area, just double check. Anybody else have anything else?
Councilman, I'm glad you said that. They made me think about something. What is it, about the maps? Also, on the first page, last paragraph, I also stated that, Councilmember Day and Councilmember Scott approved the boundary maps in 2021, and that should be a part of the minutes.
Okay. Anyone else have anything on the council? I'm sorry, Mr. Mitchell? Yes, sir.
Maybe you didn't see it the first time I had it up, but this is what
I
I got.
saw you the first time.
Okay. You just didn't acknowledge it. It's okay. On the, talking about the minutes, you said something about, on the minutes, I looked through the minutes too. You mentioned that the governor had suggested that, it was limited. Like, limited fiscal administration. Is there any update on that?
Yeah, they'll be giving us the water.
That's what I said. You want to wait for water to help all this. Okay, the second thing, and is there any deadline?
Okay, so, right now, we're making corrections to the minutes. So I think you're asking about updates on things.
That's why I asked, should I wait now or, you know, item 7? I can read item 7.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
Okay,
you,
all right,
so.
okay.
Okay, are there any other corrections to the minutes? Okay, looks like, 2, 3, and 4, corrections that need to be added. Is there a motion to, approve the minutes with the necessary corrections?
Motion to approve with the necessary correction.
Okay. There's a proper motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Who's second?
Mr. Scott, am I correct? Okay. So it's motion by Ms. Houston, second by Mr. Scott. Let's just go ahead and do a roll call, that way we can.
Wells,
No, pending the corrections being made.
Day,
Yes.
Harrison,
Harris.
Same, yeah, I was not here.
Houston,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
motion carried.
Also, can I speak? Can I speak, Madam Mayor?
Um,
Well, just in regards to Ms. Harris abstaining because she wasn't here. You know, even though you weren't here, you still can vote on it, Mr. Scott started the precedence. So I just want you to know, even though you weren't here, you still can vote on the minutes.
Okay, all right, that item is taken care of. Next we have a presentation from Paul Holmes of Lamatz. Lamatz is a subsidiary of LMA, which is an organization that helps municipalities out throughout Louisiana. They do a number of different things. He has provided a package to the council with some of the things that they do, but I think today he wants to talk about a couple of specific areas.
Good evening. I'd like to be here. Nice to meet everybody. As you know, LMAT, we've worked with municipalities for over 25 years through the LMA. We're, one of their services arms. You may be familiar with risk management that does the insurance programs for the different municipalities. Well, LMAT provides technical and advisory assistance, and also, going back several years now, we provide the consulting services and actual hands-on services when it comes to purchasing and procurement. Any kind of advice or consulting that you need in that regard, we can provide it for you. And of course, going back to, it was Mayor Paxton, who was pretty big in the LMA. You all have passed a resolution recognizing that we provide these services at no charge to you, and that they're on demand. All you have to do is ask for them, and we provide them to you at no charge to you, no direct cost to you. If you go to the second page of the presentation, you'll see that LMATS is basically divided between the technical services and the administered purchasing programs that we provide. And under the administered purchasing programs, we deal and we assist with the disposition, the selling of surplus property for the municipalities. And currently we do that regularly on behalf of about, it's about 81 municipalities out of 305 in the state of Louisiana. We assist them, all of ourselves, electronic. We partner with Gov Deals, that is the same electronic provider that the state of Louisiana uses, and we use them exactly the same way that the state of Louisiana uses them for their the sale of the surplus property from everybody from the state agencies and the different departments, throughout the state government. On page 2 again, you see how we're kind of divided up with those purchasing programs. We've got LPS, which is general consulting, dealing with procurement and purchasing. We've got the LACPC Joint Municipal Commission. That is a Title 33 under our revised statutes commission, which allows municipalities to group together, to do things together, to share costs, to share expenses, and that sort of thing. And so we've created this commission to specialize in purchasing and procurement. We help create piggyback opportunities, the joint use opportunities that are allowed under the state purchasing laws, public bid law. Let's see, what page should that be? 1, 2, 3. Page 4 describes our structure, how we're governed. We're governed by a board that's basically a subset of the LMA, and it's comprised of mayors and council members. There we go. And then the next page is going like this. That's the maps up at the top. That's just simply introducing myself, explaining what I do on behalf of the maps and on behalf of the LMA members. But today we wanted to specifically talk about surplus property. I understand that you all have a few items that maybe you need to get rid of. I think we've attempted recently to help dispose of some of that. We've run into a few hitches, but let me just tell you we're here today, and if you need us to list and to sell your surplus property, doesn't matter what it is, we're here to assist you with that. And we can revisit anything that may have fallen through in the past. If everybody's on page, I think it's page 6. Okay. It describes our site, our website, and also describes the statute that allows a political subdivision, which includes your municipality, to sell your surplus items online through a public or private internet service that's designed to do that for you. And of course, we deal directly with Gov Deals. That's who we're licensed to use their system on your behalf. But let me just say this too: you can use a system like Gov Deals directly yourself, or any other online providers that do it. We just do this as a hands-on approach to help a lot of our municipalities that are just not in the day in, day out business of selling their surplus property. So we're there to assist in the process. But the statute that's quoted right there on page 6 is what authorizes the process. You go to page 7. Let's see. Again, this is going to describe, if you go to our website, how you find our surplus property program on the GovDeals site. On page 7, you see down at the very bottom it says surplus property program. Okay? If you click onto that, it's going to take you directly to what you see on page 8. And on page 8, again, you can go directly to what you see on page 8 on the internet. There's the address at the top, and it says search surplus property. And if you click on any of those items, it'll take you to page 9. And page 9 is just an illustration of a couple of things that we have listed currently. These are both houses to be moved that the city of Broussard has asked us to try to sell for them. And this is set for a 45-day auction to the high bidder based on the approval. It's got to be approved by the city when it's all said and done. You can't just sell anything. It always goes back to the city, either through the administration or to a council to approve that particular sale.
Is that property owned by the city or?
It is. What they did, they, I guess, they bought it or they acquired it for another facility, so now they have these residential properties that are, they have to find some way to dispose of them. The easiest way is maybe just to try to sell them. Maybe somebody will pay them and move them at their expense so that they don't have to pay a demolition crew, to go in there and do it. But anyway, if you get to this site and you press on to any of the illustrations, any of the photos, it's going to take you to the details regarding each individual house. And again, up at the top, you're going to see LPS Municipal Surplus Property Program, LA, Louisiana. And of course, that's us. Skip real quick to page 11. And this is actually the state of Louisiana. This is their page. If you go, to where they sell on GovDeals. But anyway, this is some of their listings with the state. Medical equipment. Looks like an old truck. They've got office equipment, kitchen equipment, and their list will go on for several pages. It gets rather long because they sell a lot of property. Skipping back over to page 10, turning back. This is an interface from our office, or off of my computer, also off of Claire Shaw. She works with us when it comes to surplus property. But when we pull it up, this is what we see. This is what I see in front of me to get started, to list somebody's property. And talks about the LPS Municipal Surplus Property Program, and gives our account number, gives my specific account number, and it just basically takes us through the process of getting whatever piece of property, getting it assigned an asset number and getting it in our system described, and then, when the time is right, to activate it for the number of days until the closing, which is typically anywhere from to a month, maybe 2 weeks. It just depends on the item and generally the type of interest that something like that, whatever is being sold, what kind of interest it's going to generate. So some things sell real fast, maybe listed for 7 days. Other things that are real slow, like houses to be moved, they're listed for 45 days out there because it takes people a long time to make up their mind to go and see it and look at it and determine that's something that they're willing to put out some big bucks on. All of this stuff has reserves. Bidding might start like at $12,000 as illustrated there, but the reserve is actually about $25,000 on each of those homes that are pictured. You all stop me at any time if you have a question. But we'll move on to page 12. on page 12 is our standard cooperative agreement. This cooperative agreement is extended, between our program and any municipality that wants to take advantage of it. And it lays out the basic details, the process, how things work. And that's on page 12 and on page 13. You can review that. I'm not going to go through it, save time right now, but it typically covers all of the bases as to, what we do and how we do it and when you can expect to get paid. That everything's sold as is, where is. The buyer is responsible for coming to you to pick up the piece of property. They don't go to Baton Rouge. You don't have to send your property down to Baton Rouge or any other place. It's going to be picked up right here on your premises. And we have protocols that issue certificates that are printed out, bills of sale at the different points. When somebody wins, they're notified. They have a certain amount of time to pay. The money is held basically, in trust, in escrow until they actually come and pick up the piece of property. As soon as they pick up the piece of property, then basically weekly the money is flowing to the seller, to the municipalities that have sold the property. Let's see. Page 14 is a continuation of the previous page. It just illustrates the different fields that we fill out when it comes to property, descriptions, the status, the makes, the brands, the years, any long description that we need to put in about it, and where the property is located, who can bid on the stuff, who's the asset contact. In other words, it's typically either me or most likely Claire Shaw with our office. That's the contact who's going to be in contact with the city or let you know that it's sold, it's paid for, have they picked it up yet, dealing with the buyer saying, here's the instructions, here's what you have to do, pick it up, you need to meet with so-and-so, and they're going to present you with a bill of sale, if it's a vehicle and the title, that sort of thing. Let's see, the next several pages, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Okay. I was talking about the 81 municipalities and departments that we do work for. Well, there they are. They're all listed out, and with their ID and their active location that they operate from, City Hall typically. And so anyway, that's a list of everybody that we've done business with, attempted to have done business with. Those have expressed, repeatedly that, we're sending property your way to sell. And of course, if you use us, it's not exclusive. You can use any method that's allowed under the law. I guess you may be familiar with the old process that was used forever, which deals with either passing a resolution or an ordinance. You declare the property surplus, and then you have to set up some kind of system to get offers from people. And typically they would come down to City Hall, maybe with a sealed envelope, maybe not, and they would, they would make their offer, and then that was it. At the end of the process, you're supposed to pick the one that has the highest offer to you. And of course, during that process, you have to come up with a minimum value or get somebody to determine what the fair market value is, or do the research to see what the fair market value is. That was called a static type system, meaning that, basically if only two people show up or even one person shows up, well, that's it. Either you're going to sell it if they've given the minimum bid or not. But typically you were bound at that point to sell it. But with the new internet process, I say new, it's been around probably for 20 years now. You always ensure that fair market value has been reached. You don't have to determine it beforehand. You can look at it after the fact and say, yes, this is what we were expecting. This is what everybody's telling us it should be worth, or this is more because all they offer down here for this kind of stuff is X amount, but this is X plus, even more in that regard. And then, then you decide yes or no. You have that option when it comes to internet bidding. okay? And internet bidding, it's called auctions, it's called bidding, but it can be set up different ways. It can be according to different rules that you come up with. Our normal process is that it's just open for a certain number of days, and anybody can repeatedly put bids in. You know, when it pops up on their screen that they're not the high bidder anymore, they can get in there and they can set another bid. Or some real savvy users of the systems, they know how to put in whatever you might want to call it, parameters, a pre-programmed amount, saying that, look, if I get beat, you know, I'll go up to this amount, this amount, this amount, you know, and that's it. You know, cut me off. You know, somebody else can have it. But when you deal with, you know, on the internet and these programs, you can do all kinds of things like that. Any questions so far?
We actually went through, you know, we did a auction with Lamat's. We got the bid back and everything. Just a couple questions about that.
Yeah, and that's on page 21. Take a look at that. What kind of questions do you have? That deals with your aerators?
Yeah, so, you know, the question that we had about the IP addresses.
Okay. Well, it came to my attention that, you know, after the fact that there was, you know, you get a bid summary of all the users. They have a username and other information. Then at the end, it appears there's an IP address that can get printed out. And you know, I was looking at that, and yeah, there's several of them located in Texas primarily, and I think it was Alabama and Kentucky. A lot of them seem to have the same IP address, but those addresses, I think they were referred to as IPv or IPv6, which is, of course, it's not an IP address at all. That's the code for a protocol that's used, you know, through our web networks that basically assign, you know, these what you call an address. It used to be 32 bits, but now they've grown to 128 bits. So instead of having a string of numbers that's this big, now you have a string of numbers that are, you know, like that. It takes up a lot of space and a lot of room. Also, you know, you can't capture all of that right away because of the way we do business now. You know, you don't always have a fixed router interface, you know, where you're dealing with another public, with public access and then going to another private server, you know, where you interact commerce and things like that. You know, under the new systems, you're talking about dynamic IP addresses, which again are long strings of numbers. And when you go to any site, if you're going shopping at Walmart online or Amazon online, when you make the connection with them, you know, for the individual transaction, you are given an IP address. It's temporary. You may be at home, you may be on your cell phone, you know, out in a parking lot somewhere, you may be on an iPad, you may be over at your friend's house on their internet, that sort of thing. So, you know, the static IP addresses are almost a thing of the past. I mean, they're still around because there's lots of old systems, you know, networks for a particular office that all use the same static IP address, but it's not as common anymore and becoming less and less common as time goes by. Again, it's called dynamic IP addresses. Also, you know, when you get on your cell phones, when you get on your computers, it always asks, you know, do you want to basically keep it private, what your actual physical address is? You know, of course, again, it's just a string of numbers. And if you want to do that, you just press yes, and that's it. And then, so then it takes a little bit of digging to pick up such an IP address, meaning you have to start with the in-network that sold you something or that received the communication, and then they'll go back and look at, you know, the last router that routed it to them, and it says, well, this comes from Mr. Tom Jones, okay? And it says it went through this router here, but then it was sent from another router here, and then it was sent from this final address here. And wait a second, although they gave all the information, email and all this other kind of stuff, we don't recognize that IP address now. And Mr. Tom Jones says, thank you very much. Well, I told you that wasn't me. You know, somebody hacked me or did something or other, broke into my account, and that wasn't me. But anyway, that's how those things work.
So the reason I asked was, I think when we did the process the last time, we were okay with the process, but there was that question, you know, about the IP address. And let me just say that Mr. Holmes is no tech expert or anything like that.
I've done a lot of research.
What I'd like to do, though, Attorney, is if you can look into this to see if, in any case, if there is an auction held or whatever the case may be, where people are doing something supposedly from different homes, different computers, which we would think have their own IP address. If there is a pathway where the same IP address could be assigned to each one. I know I'm not a techie enough person to answer that question. I know, Paul, you tried, but I think if we have the attorney look into it, like I said, I think the process worked good last time. We got a really good amount. Unfortunately, the council didn't take it. My second question is, can we revisit that?
You can revisit it any time. I assume that it's still surplus, right?
Yeah, the aerators are still surplus.
Right, okay, so then what would happen would be to assign it, you know, just to reassign it to us, and then, you know, the amount of time that's gone by, it'll probably, you know, re-advertised or something like that, and then we'll put it out there again. You know, I can't say that it can bring the same price. You know, market price for scrap, it varies. You know, you learn a lot in this business, you know, how the scrap business works. You know, actually scrap business, you know, somebody will take it to, let's just say like Arlington, Texas, or Fort Worth, where they have the big giant scrap yards and stuff like that. Then they're gonna get more for it there than maybe selling it to local scrap yards who do nothing but gather it up in smaller quantities and ship it off to those people anyway. That sort of thing. So that's why prices, you know, may vary locally as opposed to regionally.
And I'm gonna ask you a question about advertising, but we'll let Mr. Wells ask this question.
Oh, okay, sure.
Okay, my question, I'm the one that brought the concern, and Matt Lewis tried to cut the question off. You're saying, and my issue with the process was the fact that you had different usernames with the same IP addresses around the same time submitting bids.
Right.
So you're saying that I can use a computer in one location and someone can use another location and it's gonna assign them the same IP address?
No, it doesn't assign them the same IP address. Like I said before, what you're looking at is the protocol that's being used. That's a set of rules and programs and how a system works. Do you have that in front of you? Or?
No, on the bid, when the
Right.
information came back, on the bid packet, it said IP address.
Right, it says IP, and then some of them under older protocols, which was called the IP v4, it spits out about a 12 numbers long. Everybody under the new protocol, it just said IP v6.
Right.
Right. But here's the way it goes. You understand with the new protocols and technology, it's called layers and blocks. You've got all of these signals that are coming in basically every second, every 2 seconds, whatever you can imagine. People are filling up the line, so to speak, the Wi-Fi, the pathways into somebody's server, okay? So what happens is that when they come in, they're all basically downloaded at the same time. So you're going to see maybe 2, you might see 3 that all say, you know, the exact same time. But you're going to notice that it's not the same bid because the new technologies will rank them or put them in the order that they were actually placed in that, what they call the block that arrived. So even though it looks like they both arrived at the same time, which they did, one actually made it into the block before the other one made it into the block.
Let's let Councilman Wells go ahead.
Yeah.
I understand everything you're saying, but however, in all of my years of dealing with internet, no two individuals are gonna have the same IP addresses from different locations. There's no way I'm gonna be in Tallulah and have one IP address and an individual in Baton Rouge gonna have the same IP address. And even with, just left a meeting in Baton Rouge
No,
today.
there is none. What you may be missing is that their IP address was not even captured in anything that you've looked at. It was not captured. I went through it myself. I have it on my phone. It says IP address. It has nothing but the symbols for the protocols that are being used, but there's no 128 digit numbers associated with those. The older ones, they're all there, 12 digits going across, but on the newer ones, they all say the same thing, and it's throughout the bid process. People coming and people going. The only thing that the system picked up is that they're using the IPv6 protocols, meaning to get to the actual IP addresses, you kind of have to work backwards to get them. You can't they're not just recorded in your server, which they're there, they can be identified, but you have to be able to go back and get them. In a lot of jurisdictions, the actual addresses are private. They're private in Canada, of course. They're private in several of the states under different circumstances and things like that. But they're out there, but you have to have a reason to get them.
So I think we've established that we need to find out if we can, okay? I think we've established that. Did you have anything else?
I was trying to, who manages your bid site? Who manages the site?
Well, we manage it, I manage it, but also Justin Reachers, he's the regional manager. And then, their offices, they have managers, over him.
Okay, so what part does Gov Deals play in this process?
Well, they're the server. They have the technology basically that gets all of these signals over Wi-Fi messages, bids that come in. They've registered. They're handling the money side. When it comes to payments, they ensure that you're going to get paid. They ensure that these people that are bidding are capable of paying because they pre-registered, and a lot of times, depending on how much they're bidding, they have to have basically credit cards, on file that have certain levels so that we can make sure that you get paid.
Okay.
They issue, when the payment has been received, they let us know so that we can allow somebody to pick up whatever they've purchased.
Right, I noticed in your email you said,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I noticed in your email you said you haven't gotten a response from Gov Deals. What were you trying to find out from Gov Deals?
What I was trying to find out from Gov Deals was exactly some of the questions that you were asking me. And we did hear back from Gov Deals, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, you said you hadn't gotten a response from them yet, but you said you did some
Well,
research.
that was this morning. You wanna help me out there, or is there?
I'm not sure if we took the email or not.
Yeah, I don't.
What did I give you guys?
I got it right here, the verse. Matter of fact, Paul, you want to say that at 9:35. You said, okay, I see what you're talking about. I haven't gotten a response from Gov Deals, but I did do some research. And that's when you start talking about the old formatting protocols and the new one that's going in place. So I was wondering what kind of information would Gov Deals be to get. You say you're not a technology person.
Right,
And so,
here's how Justin responded. I can read it to you if you like. Okay. It says a bidder increases their bid without a competing bid, usually because the asset has not met reserve and they are fishing for it. That means they're trying to bump their bids up. They bid 1,700. That happened to this one. They bid, a little bit more, and then finally they reach the minimum bid, and the bid is accepted. There's the questions: why would somebody bid a couple of times when nobody's bidding against them at that point?
no.
Can you forward that email to us so that I can forward it on?
So this is my question. Mayor Lewis told you that the problem was she think different individuals had the same IP address. So did you ask Gov Deals why would individuals have the same IP address?
And yes, I did. And the answer that came back is that they don't.
That's what Gov. They don't what?
they don't have the same IP address. They can't have the same IP
Right.
address.
So, when you're saying that the protocols is what's the same on there?
Right. If you pull up what you're talking about, you'll see that there is no IP address listed. There's only the protocol. That's what they call a specific technology or a method of capturing information, okay? It doesn't pick up the actual IP address.
Well, why is your site listed as an IP address then?
Well, I'm not sure, because a lot of them are IP addresses that are down the line, but there's just some that they can't capture. I mean, we can spit out all kinds of reports, but doesn't necessarily mean every field is going to be filled in when you order up reports on stuff. If the information's not there, let's just say it's on, pickup trucks. If some of the trucks don't say Ford, it wasn't ever put in, they can't capture Ford. So we don't know what the model or the make of the truck is in that situation.
Okay, then my next question, where was those items listed on your site? Because I couldn't find it anywhere. Because when I checked the current...
I illustrated how to get there. They were placed on the site October the 6th, and then the bidding, it was sold on October the 16th, so it was listed for 10 days.
So would that fall up under, I think you have like past auctions or something that is a past
No,
bid?
that's not the surplus property site.
So what would be up under the surplus property for any new thing? How did y'all list them? Do y'all list them as current?
If you go to page 9,
Mm.
that's exactly, if you go to the site, that's exactly what you see
Right.
on page 9.
The reason why
Just like
I'm
that.
asking, right, the reason why I'm asking is when I went to the site, and because you mentioned to Mayor Lewis in the email where to go to it at,
Mhm.
I immediately went to it and I still didn't see it, and I responded to the email by saying I still can't find it.
It's not going to be on there after the closing date. It's not still listed for sale. It goes into the, whatever batch it goes into for sold items until we
Right.
determine that somebody's
That's why I
going
asked you was the,
to pay for it or pick it up.
that's why I asked you would be listed, because you had something that says past, bids or something like that, where property had been, after it had been sold, it went into another folder.
Now, those are municipal bids to buy things. That's not the surplus property that you're looking at.
No,
Okay, Mr. Wilson, did you have a question?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sorry, finish.
I think you have a question for Mr. Holmes?
No, my question is, I mean, we keep trying to sell things and we don't even know if these aerators work. We continue to have water out at this plant that need aerators as we speak now. And we don't know if those aerators work or not, that we could probably be using them. And my second point to this is, interim mayor, and attorney, please don't take this offense. I want you to make every dollar you can. If they give you $1 million, I want you to have it. But we don't have an open checkbook. So with the interim mayor asking for review for something this simple, we all can review. So the city just don't have an open checkbook with these types of deficits that we have. So why ask the city attorney to spend hours, and it's going to take a significant amount of hours to do this, what she has to do. So why even put the city in that type of financial situation? And that's the end of my question. Statement.
Okay, so just so everybody knows, the aerators that we're talking about, they're not for the water plant, they're for the sewer plant. That's a completely different kind of.
I was speaking of
aer-
sewer plant when I say water.
Okay, sir,
On
you've
the-
had your time.
What?
Okay, you've had your time. Okay, so they're actually for the wastewater treatment plant, different type of aerator. Secondly, I don't think it's gonna take her hours to find that out. I just did a quick Google thing and it said, yes, people can have different IP addresses. So I don't think it's gonna take you several hours to do that. Okay? Okay. All right, were there any other questions for Mr. Holmes? Okay, sir, we appreciate it.
Is it available for the public? Where can you go as a citizen to find, locate that information?
Wants to know if if the presentation, if they can have a presentation.
Is that what you're talking about? Okay, yeah, we'll make it available, we'll put it up on the website. And someone works for the library, is that something that, do you work with just municipalities or different?
We work with public libraries, specifically we work with We've worked with, in Jackson Parish and also, Opelousas.
All right, great. Well, we appreciate you coming up. Thank you so much, and hopefully we'll be back in touch with you to get those back listed again.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so next item on the agenda is the water update. At the last meeting, I shared that the contract with Magnolia was expired on February, I believe it was the 17th. My understanding is that contract will be extended for a short amount of time until the contract is prepared and reviewed by the council between Tallulah and Magnolia and Tallulah and GOSEP, okay? So there won't be a contract again with the state and with GOSEP. The contracts will be with Tallulah. All right, so I, again, told everybody that we were told by the state that we were going to receive a plan from the state. Okay, we have not received that plan yet. We haven't received it yet. So what I did was reached out to the council, asked them for their input, sent them some information. Whoever didn't get any information back, sent some more information, didn't get anything back. So what I have suggested is following. We take the original water rehabilitation project, okay? We go through that, and I've given this information to the council as well. We go through that, we mark off those items that have already been completed through the triage, through what the state has already done. Then after that, we're gonna have to break these down into a number of projects that go with whatever pot of funding that we have. Okay, so we've got the USDA money, 7.8 million, 4 million loan, 3.8 million grant. That's assured. We've got $5 million through water sector, okay? Two different pots of money. So what I have suggested is USDA stays there. We're not looking at that right now. The water sector money, that $5 million, we use that to purchase the new filters for the water plant. So right now, they've got a filtration box that we're using that the state is renting at a cost of $55,000 a month, okay? The filters that the plant already has, we can purchase 4 of those, 4 new ones, have them piped in, everything done, probably for that $5 million that we have with water sector. What that does is, that gives us a permanent filtration system, as opposed to the temporary box that's out there. Okay, that box is leased, it's only gonna be out there for a certain amount of time. But if we go ahead and purchase the new sand filters, they will be in place. The filtration box I asked about, well, it's already up there, can we buy that? You know, the shelf life though on that filtration box is about 10 years. The shelf life on the filters, the permanent filters that we would buy, would be 30 years. And LDH has said, based on the type of water that we have with the high manganese and iron and all of those things, that those media filters will work. Now, what you gotta always remember is, the filters can be working at 100%, but if everything else isn't working at 100%, your treatment plant is not going to produce the type of water that you want. So we know that we have some other things that we need to do. All right, so that's one of the projects. It is right now time for federal appropriations. Used to be called earmarks. Okay, so we reached out to Congresswoman Letlow's office and to Senator Cassidy's office. They both have asked us to put in projects under the appropriations. So what I did was I went back to our list and I worked with Patterson and I said, okay, which of these other items can we put under appropriations, because that's probably going to take at least a year, okay? That money is probably gonna be a year down the road. And so they helped me pick out 2 projects. One is 2 nuclear wells, okay? Those are the wells that the water goes into after it goes in the clarifier, before it goes into distribution. That project has a probable cost of about right at $1 million. Then the second project for appropriations is the diesel generators. that we need at the water plant, and everything that goes along with that. And that project is another $1 million. Now, they have told us to put in both of these projects, and I will tell y'all that there is a match amount on these grants, okay? There's also a waiver that we can put in to see if we can get those waived. So what they have said was go ahead and apply, and then you apply for the waiver afterwards. That was the instructions that we got. So that's 3 projects out of the pots of money that we're going after. Everything else that's left from the original water treatment project, probably gonna be what Tallulah has to pay for. Because at some point, we're gonna have to pay for something. So that is what I have suggested. There has been nothing written in stone. If you got, again, I'll tell y'all again, if y'all have information or anything that you would like to submit that we look at, I'm more than welcome to look at it. But that's kind of where we are. They also talked about a limited fiscal administrator, okay? In order to have access to the limited fiscal access to the water sector emergency sub-fund, you have to be under a limited fiscal administrator, okay? Fiscal administrator come in, they take care of all the money, they make all of the decisions, that's what they do, which is exactly what Magnolia is doing right now for us. So, all I'm saying to everyone is, and this is, the council is gonna have to vote on it, if we are not under a limited fiscal administrator, we will not be eligible for those sub-fund emergency funds, okay? And let's see what else. I think that is it. And I see Councilman Welch, you have your hand up, so we'll start with you,
I'll
sir.
let Scott go first.
Okay, Mr. Scott.
What would be looking at the difference of what you're talking about here? I'm looking at all this stuff right here, what would be the difference of what the lady would be responsible for?
So if you look at the last page of what I gave you, there's a list that said all items on the list not covered by an identified funding source, okay? So that would, theoretically be what Tallulah would be responsible for. Now, these numbers were taken from the original bid sheet that happened in 2024. So I would say that they probably need 10 to 15, maybe 20% added to them because, things have gone up.
Okay.
Basically, what I'm trying to do, folks, is get this project down to a point where we allow the state to pay for as much as they can. We go after every other dollar that we can, and then what's left, we can afford to pay for. That's where we are. Ms. Houston?
I like that plan. Ms. Lewis.
Ms. Harris?
Well, I don't have much to compare to besides like plan.
And again, we were told multiple times that we would get something from the state. I'm not sure why that has happened. Why has that happened? Ms. Dave?
I agree with you on I like the plan that you come up with because you didn't contribute at all. Going through what Addison has already done and, subtracting that from what needs to be done. I think that's a good way to start.
And before I go to Councilman Wilk, I'm sorry. The one thing that I didn't say under the different projects was what project I would put under these emergency sub-fund. And what I put under there were the aerators and the completion of all the electrical upgrades at the water plant. Those two things need to be done immediately. They have, so if you go from the aerators, that needs to be done. They're doing the clarifiers now. They've done one. They're gonna do the other one here in the next few days. And then the filters. So those are the 3 main components. Obviously, everything is important, okay? But that's just, I just want to let you guys know what I put under, what project I put under. Mr. Wells?
Yes, I go back to what I've been saying all the time. If the governor is gonna put those stipulations on the city, when is it gonna ever be put in writing? Because for a fiscal administrator, I've been looking it up. There's nowhere in government finances and funding where I've seen where in order to get some money for the government has to put someone over that money. I haven't found it nowhere. When a municipality or entity is awarded money from the government, that money is given to them, and that money is set aside for a specific purpose. So if it's for the water, you don't need anyone over you to pay the bill. And that needs to be in writing. And to say, in order for you to get some government money, you got the sub funds, you all call it. That's taxpayer money. The government cannot tell you, in order to get the taxpayer money, I gotta place somebody over that money for you to get it. I gotta see that in writing. Even when the federal government sends us money to my school, they don't tell us, you gotta put somebody that the state appoints over that money. They hold my superintendent responsible, who's the head of our agency. And you're the head of the agency for the city of Tallulah. So if that money is spent on something outside of what it's allocated for, then they come and ask you questions. I can't see them telling you, you can only get this money if you have a fiscal administrator over you. And then it has to be contract. You have to contract with Magnolia and with Patterson. I don't see that. What if you got another company that can do the work? So if we're going to vote on it, a council, says you all follow the law, y'all say y'all follow the law. We need to see that in writing. I've been asking that for about the past 3 or 4 weeks, almost a month. If that's what the governor is saying, put it in writing. Tell them put that in writing, because I don't think they can do that. Once they set aside for it to be for the water plant, then you got to spend it on the water plant money. For them to place a fiscal administrator over, that means they feel like somebody doing something right with money. That's the only thing I did. And now another thing that bothers me is this whole thing. We paid McManus $980,000, almost $1 million for some blueprints. And now for the rehab of our water plant. So now we're going to deviate from what was proposed in the original bid process. Which means his blueprint is no longer being used. And we gave away almost $1 million not to use his plan.
How did we deviate?
But you just said we're going to take stuff out of it.
No, I didn't say we were gonna take.
That's been completed. But we paid him almost $1 million for a blueprint for the rehab of another plant. And then this money is being tied into a company that we're being forced to keep. You're saying if we get the sub funds, we got to be a fiscal administrator.
Okay.
Then you're saying we have to keep Patterson in place. We have to keep Magnolia in
I
place.
never said we had to keep anybody in place. All I said was, if we want to have access to those funds in the sub-fund, we have to be under a limited fiscal administrator.
And we have to contract with who?
No, okay. Right now, the contract is between the state and Magnolia.
It's about the state.
Okay, no, hold on.
You said
Hold
we
on,
would.
hold on just a second. The contract right now is between the state and, I'm sorry, between Magnolia and the state, okay? As I explained at the last meeting, we had a conversation with GOSEP. The way that everything was done, they weren't sure that it was going to go fly by the legislative body. So they felt like the contract actually should be between Tallulah and then a contract with GOSEP. So when I talk about those two contracts, that's separate from the fiscal administrator.
They felt like wasn't going to fly by the legislative auditor.
No, I'm saying GOSEP said that the way some of the funds were spent, that they weren't, so GOSEP is supposed to help with emergency activities, okay, right? And so they needed to make sure that the next contracts were done in a manner, am I saying this correct, attorney? So that it would fly by the, or, be kosher to the legislative auditor.
Right. So they're saying in order for Magnolia to stay in place, in order for Patterson to stay in place, without getting in trouble from the legislative auditor, we would have to enter a contract with them.
No. Okay.
Trying to understand.
And
Because you're saying that the contract, that we would have to do would have to be between us, Magnolia, and with us and Patterson, because the original contract would not fly, you say, be feasible to them? Right. So, if we do not go with Magnolia and Patterson, we will not be able to get the money from the sub-fund. Am I correct? I'm sorry, we don't be on the fiscal administrator.
If we don't go with the contract with Magnolia and the state, what does that have to do with the fiscal administrator?
No, I'm asking, is the money strictly tied to a fiscal administrator?
No. What money?
The
What
sub-fund money.
Yes, we said that. The sub-fund money, you have to be under a fiscal administrator. Anybody else? Okay, Mr. Wilson? Yes, sir.
Thank you. We can't keep doing it this way. I constantly say this. We aren't under a contract as we speak right now. So you keep saying that we under a contract. Who's paying Magnolia at this point? First and foremost. Secondly, we've gone through this in the past. We were told, the community was told, that the interim mayor was connected to these different administrations, that we had $22 million for a new water plant. Have we ever seen that water plant? Do we have the water plant? $22 million. She was also connected to the same, a different administration that came back and said $13 million. And this is not an attack. This is truth and fact. It's all in it. You go to the Madison Journal, you get the record, it's in the record. We can't keep doing it this way. And we know this. That we don't have, this is not a plan. This is picking things out of something that somebody else has given an individual. It's not a plan. The original plan was to rehab the water plant. We have close to $15 million. And it doesn't take $15 million to rehab this plant. So if GOSEP has spent sums of money to already start the process, it doesn't take the full amount of money that's allotted to us to finish what we have to do and do it right. We were also awarded under a different administration, under the Hayden administration, $500,000 for 2 wells. Those are grants. Let's go back to the record. $500,000 that money that was in-house, that McManus did the engineering, and we supposed to have already gotten those wells. They did some test sites, etc. Where is the money? And we continue to go back and forth about the same old. But now all of a sudden, 18 years, we got a plan. Where is the plan? The community want to know. I want to know. Thank you.
Okay, so I want to make sure everybody understands the contract. Go ahead, Ms.
I just have a question. With the fiscal administrator, will it come out of the grant money, or will it be taxed to the city or taxed to the water company?
So based on the information that I got from the governor's office, and let me just read this so that I'm not, I asked the question, is there a fee and who is responsible for the fee? Okay, the political subdivision is responsible, and that would be us. Then I said, if Tallulah is responsible for this fee, could that fee come out of the emergency funds should the council approve this? And the answer was, it appears that the funds could pay for the fee. OCDLGA will submit a recommendation for funding of emergency sub-funds to pay for the receivership costs to the commission for review and approval. So
And I apologize, good evening, everyone. The next question is, what do we as the citizens need to start preparing for Mayor Lewis in terms of restoring, replacing or renewing the water system? What do we need to expect going forward? Because water is essential, we don't need it, so we just gotta base ourselves on what to expect.
Right, so I have not taken any new plan. This is the original water rehab plan, okay? I took the original bid sheet, I marked off the items that are already done. That leaves another number of items. And all I did was said, okay, if we're gonna put in for appropriations, what would be appropriate to go on that grant application? Okay, and we broke it down like that. What would be appropriate to be used for our water sector money? What would be appropriate under the sub grant, the sub fund? And then whatever is left, Tallulah's gonna have to pay for it, more than likely. So
And then
it's,
what with the longevity of all these upgrades, because we've got to have a plan that says we're projecting the next 10 years Tallulah will look like this.
right.
We got to have a plan. We got something big going on next to us, and we're gonna get the slump if we don't prepare. That's all I'm saying.
No, absolutely. And the rehab plan that was approved, okay, everything in that rehab plan, if I remember correctly, McManus said that 85 to 90% of everything would be new, okay? We say rehab, but a lot of that is going to be new. So this is the same plan, folks, the same exact plan.
This is my last one.
No worries.
You know, we have situations as to where we have government funds where, income-based assistance is provided to families. With the increases that we're gonna intake, how do we handle those increases for our, set income families, our elderly, citizens? How will we prepare to handle that? And I don't mean to sound rude, the water tank situation has to be clear, but we have to keep our citizens safe, and we have to make sure that our elders are cared for.
Yes.
No, completely understood. And that's why I'm trying to whittle this down, okay, to an amount that we can cover under the funding that we have, so that we're not looking at hopefully any increases or anything like that. I think that's what
We'll be in a
you're.
position to grant to ourselves, and we won't have to search out for grants so bad.
I'm sorry, sir.
And hopefully we'll be in a position to where we can grant usage to ourselves, and we don't have to be so dependent upon grants.
There you go, there you go.
That's where we need to be.
Okay,
No.
so, and I completely agree with you, okay, about, not granting ourselves out. How we pay for water is people paying their water bills. That's how we pay for water. And, trying to keep it at an amount where it's doable for those families that are on, limited, or have limited funds and everything, so.
There are certain entities, subdivision, small areas, apartment complexes, that pay no water bill. How will they be included in it? That needs to take place. Some entities don't have any water bills, no water bill.
Right.
That needs, and I understand that things happen then, but we are under a new time, so clauses need to be made, so that they could at least be subsidized for water, if they don't pay the full amount.
Schools not paying for water.
That's one of the that's one of the problems that was identified in the beginning.
Everybody's gonna have to play a
Right.
part.
Now, I want to interject something. I noticed in this plan is one pot of money that's not being talked about. I want to know why. Why is the USDA fund is not being mentioned?
Because we're gonna have to use that to pay for the things that are left over.
No. The USDA funds is not, and I'm going back to the call that we had with Magnolia. And their concern was being able to access the USDA money. And Katina Spencer told her that they could not use that money for nothing else except rehabbing a plan. And I'm noticing that in this plan, nowhere, and I thank God for just dropped it, nowhere in this plan have you all mentioned USDA funding.
And that is going to be the money that we use to pay for the things that are left over.
Again, maybe you understand what I'm saying. Nowhere in this plan is USDA funding being mentioned in this plan.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm saying that, because the primary concern from the state, County Audubon, and Mr. Ezel and them was being able to access, even the governor said when he came here, what can I do to get us to be able to get into the USDA money? And he said, do I need to go talk to the president myself? And I noticed that in this plan, we're not mentioning USDA funding. And why are we not mentioning when it's geared toward the rehabbing of the plant?
So I put that together, okay, and I will say again, there has to be some money left over for the things that we're going to do. So instead of putting, I should have put USDA. Let me be clear with everybody, okay? I have told you what pots of money that I think we can go to get different projects done. Whatever is left, Tallulah is going to have to pay for that. How are we gonna pay for it? We have the USDA money already. That's how we're going to pay for it. So if I did not identify it, I will take that and I will change it and put USDA on there. But I can tell you, Councilman Wells, that's the only other pot of money that we have to pay for.
Right.
So there's no search, there's no whatever. It's that pot of money. And
Right. And see, that's what's disturbing to me. Because I'm gonna do a plan. You went through pistol, everything you're gonna do for appropriations, isn't that federal money? Or is that state money? I think it's federal. You said reaching out to Congresswoman Ledlow now. I mean, that's federal money. You're mentioning reaching out to them for appropriations, but we already have money that the USDA, which is federal money, has been already allocated. But nowhere in this plan do you mention any of those things on here. And that's not accidental. That's intentional. Because the state, and when we had Magnolia in the meeting, they did not want to, they wanted to know, could they tap into the USDA money? And the answer was no. They said you cannot use federal money to do it in phases. So if we say this is going to be used for something left over, that's not true. So that's why I thank God for the Holy Spirit. Because Katina Spencer said it has to be done at one time. You cannot break down that federal money in phases. And that's why you're not including that in this plan. That's intentional.
okay, I completely disagree, but I respect your opinion.
Okay, so I'll tell you
made
what.
it clear, okay? That's the only other pot of money, folks, that we have.
Right, so
The
why isn't that in the plan?
Yes.
Once you touch that USDA money, you're gonna have to start paying it back. Am I correct?
So,
Yes, but see, you understand. Let me ask something to you. We are already paying an increase for that USDA money. We passed the increase in the water rate to finance that plan for the USDA money. We had to take that out. Remember, y'all voted for that. Y'all voted. I said no. So we're already paying for that USDA money.
But I'm saying, why not use all of the grants that we can get first? And then, like she's saying, what Tallulah has to pay, you'll have that USDA money. Because once you touch that USDA money, you're gonna have a bill.
We understood that when you all voted for that, and you all voted for it. So if the money we're paying, so are you all, if we decide not to use it like it's supposed to be, and we don't use it, are we gonna refund the citizens the money that we collected the past 3 years for the rehab of the plant, for the USDA money? See, well, thank you. That's why we gotta be careful how we handle business. And that was this not no accidental thing. That's intentional, not including the USDA money. That's intentional. So if we're doing a plan, like you got on here, appropriations, earmarks for the diesel. I know we bought a diesel generator a while ago. You know, Mr. Owen. Have we purchased a diesel generator? We had no purchased one. I could have sworn we did.
yeah,
We purchased a diesel generator on the Mayor Fennison. I could be wrong, but I'm gonna check and see. I think we purchased one. So you got appropriations, earmarks, which is federal money for the generators. You got water safety emergency sub fund for electrical service, circuits and conduits, and I thought they replaced the electricals at the plant. I thought that was already done. So we got certain things that we're mentioning. So if we want to use USDA money for everything that's not already taken care of, why is it not on the paper?
Okay.
And I understand what's going on.
Okay. The other thing, I've made it clear, okay, if I didn't put USDA on there, then that's my fault for not putting it on there, but let me be very clear with everyone. That's the only other pot of money that we have, folks. That's it, okay? So I will change that, put USDA to be paid for by Tallulah out of the USDA funds, and that's the answer to that.
And that's gotta be done by September. So the longer we drag our feet on it, we lose it.
We're not dragging our feet. Okay?
So-
Remember, hold on, sir, okay? Remember, This is just something that I put together. We were supposed to be getting something.
Right, so why don't, this is why I suggest Mayor Lewis. Can we go through here and look at what the USDA funds can pay for this rehab and put them on this plan?
This is from the original rehab project, which was already approved by USDA.
Right.
So
let's allocate some of this to USDA.
why wouldn't we let the free money pay for as much as we could?
Because we're already paying for the money y'all said is not free.
All right.
So the citizens already paid a rate increase on this money. So you all are forgetting that part. We're already paying for the rehab of the USDA funding. So if you don't use it, that means we owe folks reimbursement.
We never said we weren't going to use it.
But we need to allocate it and make sure we use that too, because we're paying for it now.
Okay, I wanted to go back and clear up something that Mr. Wilson said. There was a $500,000 capital outlay grant that we got. That well was put in, it's well number 6, is functioning now at the water plant. It wasn't for 2 wells, and it actually put in. Okay.
But you got the money.
Yes, Mr. Mitchell.
The mayor sitting there talking, I will too. Okay, reference to that, you were talking about that USDA money. Yeah, whether you using it or not, you paying for it just because you got the loan approved. So they know I'm not paying. I got the money. The other thing is, we're not talking about balances here. The USDA balance, they got however many $1 million it was. When you pay it down, you're paying something on it, so the balance has changed. If you apply it to any other product they're doing out there, it's still gonna go down. Where's the balance in that? Other question about balances, you keep talking about this update of this project, be it called a retrograde or whatever you want to call it. What is the balance of everything needed that's missing, still need to be put in the system to complete the project? That will tell us how much money we need and where we get it from. But at least we know what we need to spend to get the project finished. And I hadn't heard that. The thing about the governor, you can't make a business decision based on the if we accept this limited. It don't work. It don't work. You got to be for sure what you're getting. I can't do it on a maybe. I can't plan on a maybe. So that limited fiscal administration, it's not good enough to work with. Another thing about the fiscal administrator, if you take that offer from him, does he get that point? A fiscal administrator of his choice again? Does he can change it? You know, he's put it in his hands. So our fate kind of, if you look for extra money, I don't get it based on if you agree. It's almost like twisting my arm. If you agree, I'll give you some more money, but you know it can't work like that based on maybe or if, based on his words there. Everything should be put in writing for sure. One thing I kind of disagree with Mr. Wilson about, he said something about that $22 million. I heard that $22 million for months, way back. You never saw that $22 million. They never told you they're gonna give it to you. They use the word will. It's a big difference between the word will and shall. I spoke to the capital overlay where they said $22 million was coming. I got personal emails from them saying, you only got $500,000, that's all you're gonna get. You ain't get no $21.5 million. You got all you're gonna get, so don't look for the rest of that balance. So that was debunked. I did that myself. I have my own records for that, and communication with the capital overlay people in Baton Rouge. So we can stop talking about this $22 million, which never happened. All right, that's all I got.
Okay. We're gonna move on. Next item on the agenda is update on the occupational license for Andrea Hicks, Turning Point to Rebuilding. I'm gonna let the attorney do that issue.
Yes, I believe there was already a council meeting where it was going to form that Ms. Andrea Hicks received an occupational license for Turning Point to Rebuilding. In doing that, there were several questions or different issues that I noticed that were coming up to that. So what I wanted to do was talk to all parties, including Ms. Hicks. I'm sorry. Is it on now? I apologize. But Ms. Hicks did apply for the occupational license and I believe was granted by the council. However, there are multiple issues that did arise from that granting of the licensing. So I need to talk to Ms. Hicks and also DCFS directly. What I need to know was, what is the law as pertains to fostering? What is it as it pertains to transitional homes? All of the above. They're not the same. I believe when Ms. Hicks has been practicing for a while, fostering. She's been fostering children for a while. I don't think there was any issue with her fostering, and she continued to do so. However, on the application that Ms. Hicks presented to DCFS, and I believe that she made the, she represented that they told her that she needed an occupational license. Okay, I spoke directly with Mr. Matthew Brooks, who works in that department, and you do not need an occupational license for that. Okay, so I'm not sure where she got the information, so I wanted to first find out what are the facts and what's needed, and to see where the to give her clarification to see exactly what she needed. Secondly, I wanted to speak with her to see, do you intend to keep fostering? Because it's possible that you can fill out applications incorrectly, and I want to make sure she's getting what she wants, what she desires. Do you want to continue to foster? There's also a plan called extended fostering, or do you want to do the transitional housing? Because according to DCFS, the way it's rated is for transitional housing. That's different. The zone where Ms. Hicks had this residence at the time and where she's at, it's a very tight zone as far as what you can do there, as far as commercial, all the things. What DCFS needs, and we need to make sure we do that going forward, what they need is approval through zoning, not occupational licensing. They don't need it at all. So they made that very clear to us so we can know what's required and so we can let the residents know. So occupational license is not needed. Now that there are issues brought up with the zoning, there has been a lawsuit that has been filed against the city of Tallulah, which I found here recently, for a petition for restraining order and injunctive and declaratory relief in terms of this. I believe at the last council meeting, there was an attorney, Joy Jackson, that did show up and was asking questions or trying to give the laws pertaining to the zoning. Well, I have read and reviewed that, and according to this, Ms. Hicks did apply for that, and she did create a Louisiana state business. Okay, so when she created that business, and it is located there, we have found that changes it from just fostering to now a business. So that can violate the zoning orders as well. So basically what we need to do now to protect the city and the interest, I recommend is that we revoke the occupational license that was given. And let me say this as well. Ms. Hicks is completely fine with this. That's the reason why I wanted to speak with her too, without just coming and spewing out what the law says. She's fine with that. She does not even intend, she doesn't even really want the license. It's just something that was told to her, and it was incorrectly told to her. So she's completely fine with that, and I think we should revoke the license, occupational license. Just know moving forward, this is going to be a zoning application issue, not occupational license. And we also need to know that transitional housing is different than fostering, especially because you're looking at the age range there. You're looking at individuals and children that are growing up who need some help, kind of living on their own. You don't even actually need the foster parent or the worker to actually reside there. They can reside somewhere else. So you can have workers that come in and out, which points to a business, and that in fact is what creates a violation to the zoning laws that we have. So what we have to do now is deal with this lawsuit that has been filed against the city. It's been filed for about 2 weeks now. I don't think the city was served, but I did find that, and we'll deal with that. But we need to, my recommendation is to revoke the occupational license and know how to move forward.
And I spoke with Ms. Hicks and her daughter, told her it's very, very rare that the council votes 5-0 on anything. So it's very clear, that you guys wanted to do this. And my dad came up with foster care for 18 years, so it's very important. However, the way everything was presented, we have to go with the way that she presented it to us. She did tell us she needed an occupational license, and then we got into the whole zoning thing. So the attorney has made a recommendation to revoke the license. Ms. Hicks has said she's not even wanting to do it anymore. She's just going to continue fostering the way that she was and go forward from there. So, attorney, you said it's your recommendation that we revoke the occupational license. And like you said, in the future, well, if this ever comes up again, then we'll know it's a zoning issue and not, not an occupational license.
Yes, Attorney Miley, I love what you just did. how you explained to us the law, the process, and the individuals that you reached out to get an answer. And that's all I was asking for from our previous attorney. That's how attorneys handle business. And I appreciate that to the utmost. Because now I'll make a motion to revoke the occupational license based upon the advice and the law of the city attorney.
We have a proper motion, is there a second? Second. All right, we have a proper motion and second to revoke the previously issued occupational license. Gerald, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Wells,
Yes.
Day,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is approve a cooperative endeavor agreement and covenants between the city of Tallulah and the Madison Parish Police Jury for the benefit of the Madison Parish Library. This is, I don't know if donation is the right word, but an agreement to allow the library to demolish some property here on Mulberry Street, the whole house there. Tear that down, they're gonna use it for parking and other things for the library. The cooperative endeavor agreement has been reviewed by both the police jury attorney and the city attorney. They have looked at it, the jury at their last meeting before the one today, approved the cooperative endeavor agreement, and it is now before the city for approval. Yes, sir, Mr. Williams.
I have one question. Would that space or that parking lot be used for only library parking? Or when the library is closed, would other individuals be allowed to use that parking lot? And the reason why I'm asking, because there's a property adjacent to that area that has events. Will they be allowed to use that property to park on based on the events that they're having at that facility?
Only library.
So if anyone is parking on the outside of library hours, how are we gonna enforce that?
According to the cooperative agreement,
Hold
it
on,
allows.
Mr. Mitchell, just 1 second. Ms. Wilmore?
The intent is to gate the property. Gated why? Because we have a bookmobile that's been donated to us from Concordia Parish. And that's an investment, that's another annex to the library. And then also we're gonna have to do it for the movie night, family night, our own festivals, open to the community. But the parking will not be open to everyone after hours, unless my board changes.
Question for her.
Mr. Mitchell, I'm gonna ask you to come forward, sir. Okay? Come forward.
No, I
You have a
don't, okay,
question?
well, since you, what am I saying, I'm gonna come forward, everybody's gonna come forward, but anyway, this is the, situation. In your original corporate agreement, it's written, it allows for people to park there. You said there's an annex, it's gonna be
Yes.
approval attached to it, okay, I was saying, sure, if you got an annex, then support your change, okay, that was my question for you. Thank you.
Council, any other questions? Anyone have any questions in the audience?
So my only question is, if someone is parking there, who's gonna enforce them being on that property when they're not supposed to? I know it's gonna be gated. I just wanna make sure someone parks there, because sometimes you drive around gates if you can. We drive through grass, yeah, I know we do that. We do it, I do it too.
I hope that not to be the case.
Gotcha. Okay, I got you.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the cooperative endeavor agreement and covenants between the city of Tallulah and the Madison Parish Police Jury for the benefit of the Madison Parish Library?
So move.
Second.
Proper motion and second. Houston. Okay, Gerald, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Wells,
Yes.
Day,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
All right, Gerald, can you give us an overview of the general fund financials through January?
Oh,
About
Let's
your
get out.
26.
Privilege, may I openly say thank you all so much for for the opportunity. It's been a long time coming, but thank you.
Thank you for trying to do this.
Okay, these credentials are through this is the general fund through January the 31st of 2026, which is 7 years into the fiscal year.
7 months. 7 months. Gives it 7 years, you mean 7 months. You say 7 months, you say 7 years.
Okay, but, the two big amounts that I always go to, in your left-hand column, you'll see that we had a budget forecast revenue of $220,000 for property tax. And we brought in $196,000. Part of which belonged to the prior, month, because the, people in the daily were having problems, computer problems, et cetera, and they didn't get to process all of the, returns. So that, made, the current one a little bit bigger than it would have been, because those prior months' returns were dumped into the current ones. Then the next thing we have is this large would be, let me get my blue right here so I can see where it is. Here we go. Sales tax. We have a budget for the year of $1,884,000. We have a budget as of July 31st of $1,128,000. The actual is $1,065,400, which puts us 73,000 below what the budget is, which is not too good. You know, I'm using the same exact budget that I used last year, and I see that it's beginning to slip a little bit. So I hope that we don't have a trend that's beginning to start. Those are the two big amounts of revenues for general fund. Are there any questions so far on city finances as far as revenues are concerned?
Anybody have any questions on revenues? Okay. Go ahead, Drew. Go ahead.
Okay. And so let's just go over to the departmentals. Turn over a couple pages, and you'll come to police department. We'll look at the departments first, and maybe some sort of recap again. The police department so far is doing well.
Mr. Odom, why you didn't go over the expenses?
What?
Why you didn't discuss the expenses from the city?
Well, we'll get to that. In other words, that's in the consolidated. But see, when you go by department, you're doing it by department. Whereas when you go over here where I was, that's your consolidated statement, and it contains all the other departments. Okay, and he's 12,000. I know the chief catches a lot of problems about his overtime and all that, but actually, he is $12,000 under his budget so far for his salaries, which is good, obviously. And all the way down, you have, I don't know what to say exceptions. You have revenues that offset, you know, it turns out that he's, for the month, or year to date, he's $4,583 under his budget. Now that's, for the police department, for this far into the year, that's exceptional. Now, we just received an invoice for one of those police cars, and I've got to pay for it in March, and it will cost $56,000. So that's, I don't know exactly, I have a budget amount for that, but I'm not sure if it's that much. I'll have to check that later.
Not to cut you off, you say you received the
Do
invoice.
you have any comments, Chief?
Yeah, you say you received the invoice for $56,000 for one vehicle?
$56,000?
No, that's-
I think I think in the case, the other two will be small, will be a lesser amount. For one reason, they seem to go up higher on one than the other. But I'll be happy to let
That's the
you
yearly
see
payment,
invoice.
right? For the lease vehicles, correct?
Well, I'll get with you with the invoice, and, you know, we can.
Okay.
But overall, like I said, I have nothing but good to report for the
Okay.
police department at this point. Are there any questions, any more questions?
Oh,
Then you flip the page, we'll come to fire department. The fire department had a current monthly budget of $87,000. They actually spent 86. You can't get any better than that. The year-to-date budget is $359,000, and they have spent $339,000 for a surplus of $20,000. So again, the fire department is really doing well this year so far, as all the departments are, and sticking to their budget, because you know we've had a pretty tough road to hoe in recent times with finances, which was brought on by the water department. Any questions on fire department? That takes us to street department. Street department is looking exceptionally well. They had a current budget for the month of $81,000. They spent $52,000, so you know they were $20,000 under their budget for that month. Year to date, they have a budget of $495,000. They have spent $478,000 with a surplus of $16,700. Usually, the thing about the street department is they have a lot of repair, and one thing that has gone on well for us this year is that the repair costs have been much less than normal. Any questions about the street department? And then we come to the community center, and it's always pretty much right on budget. We do have budgeted $50,000 that's, I think, again, starting off right now, a grant to upgrade, do some painting work, and that's beginning to start right now. And so actually, everything with the, financially with the community center is in good shape. And then the mayor's office includes things that are not attributable to any one particular department. And that's what's going on here now. But even so, the budget for the general administration or the mayor's office was $573,000, and we spent $559,000 for a surplus of $14,058. So it looks like that up to this point, all of our departments are in good shape. They're under budget. And that's pretty much all I have to say, unless anybody has some questions.
Do you have any questions from council?
Yes. Okay, Mr. Odom, I noticed under expenses, under the mayor's office, it says that it says council member where it says alderman expenses for the current month, $53.90, and year-to-date actual $377.30. What is that payment to a council member for?
It was probably to reimburse something that was picked up in travel or something like that. It is documented, anything like that, I would say it's probably reimbursing someone who went somewhere.
Well,
But we would have all the documentation on that.
okay, because see, the council members, as far as I know, have not went on any trip or anything.
Well, it could have been, all right, it could have been, like, for example, one of our employees has had some software training and had to go to Baton Rouge or Shreveport
No.
for two or three days.
It's a council member, it's an alderman travel.
I think we discussed this earlier. Mayor, should you explain?
Right, Mr. Welch has brought this up before.
Well, the only thing that we can do.
Hold on just a second. Mr. Wells has brought this up before. I think when I spoke with you about this, that whatever these charges are for are in the wrong spot. Okay? What he's saying is, if the line item is alderman travel, alderman whatever, it's supposed to be something associated with the council.
Yeah.
If they haven't spent anything, they haven't traveled, they haven't been reimbursed for anything, why are those charges on that line?
Okay, Mr. O, ask your question. Oh, Mr. O, ask your question. Who signs off on every check for the city of Tallulah?
I do.
Right. So Mr. Odom should not be the only one to be able to answer that. Because if there's a check written, you have to sign it.
But I don't say where the checks are allotted to, which line item. I don't say that.
Well, we can check this out. It can also be a situation where, that maybe it was probably a miscoding could have gone into, like I said, it'll have to be checked out. It could be that someone miscoded it and it got keyed into the wrong account.
But the
because
thing,
those two accounts are right together anyway.
but the thing is this. Mr. Odom is not the only one that's responsible for the finances. He's not the only one. The mayor is the head of the organization. The council is the fiduciary for the city. So any check, that's what I always say, we should be able to see bills for payment. It wouldn't be a guessing game if we were to see bills for payment. Not before they're made, but after they're made. See, we can't say Mr. Odom is coded wrong. Because as the head of the organization, you should view these finances before anybody. So if you're not reviewing, that means there's something wrong. So the ultimate responsibility is not on you, Mr. Odom.
Well, I mean, it's also my responsibility to see that the finances are.
Right, I understand. Yes, you do. But as the head of I'm the football coach at Jones Travis High School and athletic director. Every fund that comes out of the athletic account, I have to give an account for it. Has been an AD.
Yeah.
And I have to report to my principal on the funds that's spent. So even though you're the clerk that handles the finances, the mayor should be viewing every check that is written. So if there's something on these finances, you have to present it to her, right? You don't present these to the mayor, anyone, mayor?
Oh, yeah. The mayor.
So she sees them, right? So it means you should have saw where it says travel expenses again for aldermen. I mean, there's an oversight somewhere. And I've asked for it to see who's the council member that's receiving, so it's coded wrong, it should have been corrected.
It should have been corrected.
Right, so there's no way this is still here and you give the finances to the mayor, she didn't saw that.
It will be corrected.
So that means, I'm believing somebody's got money from it as an alderman. I could be wrong.
You're wrong.
I could be wrong.
Did you get a check?
Listen,
Wait, did you get a check?
now listen,
I didn't get one. Miss Day, did you get one? Miss Harris, did you get one? Other than your check, did you get one?
It was coded wrong, and I will make sure that it's correct. That's the end of the line.
But let me go on track. But the thing is, I still believe that it should have been corrected. It says alderman travel expenses. And that's why I asked for a copy of the city's travel policy. And this is not the city of Tallulah's travel policy. This is a policy that we got off a line and passing out.
We do have travel policy though.
That's why I asked for a copy of the city of Tallulah's travel policy, not a generic policy or a guide that you can tailor for the city. I want to see the city of Tallulah.
But we do, don't we?
Again, I asked the man for a copy of the city of Tallulah's travel policy, and this is what I was given. So this is not the city of Tallulah's travel policy. And the reason why I'm asking, because I'm seeing travel listed under alderman, and then when you look at the mayor's office, when you look at the finances for expenses, when you look at travel, it says for alderman, the travel, $367, right there, $367. Travel expenses, $3,646.19, the year-to-date actual. That's a lot of money in travel. So, who's traveling that much that we at almost 40?
Where money is little travel as this city has ever done.
It's over $3,600 not little travel.
But is that for a council member?
No, they say travel from the mayor's office.
Well, that's.
So they don't have to be all council members.
That's.
No, see, you guys are jumping ahead for no reason. Get out y'all feelings.
Well,
what I'm saying is, y'all making me wonder when y'all do that.
Training calls for, travel sometimes, you know.
So who's going to training?
Software training.
So who's going?
Vanessa.
So then, for what kind of training? For accounting?
Property taxes and handling property tax.
That's what they be considered accounting?
Most people.
What do they consider?
That's what she went training for.
What'd you
She
say?
goes every year, they upgrade it, she goes every year. She stays about 2 or 3 days. And you know, that can rack up when things are these days.
That's a lot of money.
So Gerald, at the next meeting, can we have everything that is accounted for to that $3,000 so that question can be
We can come on.
And then when you do it, make sure the mayor signs off on it, so you won't be the only one responsible. Because see, she's supposed to sign off on all the finances, she signs all the checks. That's called accountability. Now, my next question for the finances, that I need to know, because I'm gonna send an email about invoices and different things. And the mayor signs off on every check that comes out. That's a good thing, and I know who to hold responsible. So, next question comes to budget. I know we're not over our water, so since we're not currently, do we still have to send out water payments to Magnolia? Because the contract with Magnolia that we're aware of ended on February 17th.
And we had that conversation. I said that contract was extended, so until the, wait a minute, hold on. That contract was extended. Yes, I'm sure you're still sending your bill to Magnolia.
I'm asking tonight.
And so, yes, the contract between the state and Magnolia has to be extended until the contracts with the state, with GoSep and Tallulah and Magnolia have been signed.
So, but the thing is, we're no longer under an emergency, state of emergency. That ended as of February 17th. So even when the state of emergency occurred, we had to agree to what transpired in the council meeting. So in order for a contract to be extended.
Okay, wait. We're talking about general fund.
Right, no, see, that's part of this budget. We're on a budget. And we spend money. So, because I know the water funds supposed to come to us now, if I'm not mistaken. So the reason I'm asking is we're still paying funds to Magnolia and we're not under contract with them. Why are we still doing it? Because that contract that we currently signed up for ended on February 17th. We hadn't been presented with anything else. So as a council, we would have to vote on a contract extension. The governor can't do that on his own. We can't, like what's to say, doing it this way.
Keep doing it this way.
So we have to sign off on stuff. How does it mean about it?
Well, how would we sign off on a contract between Magnolia and the state?
Because the current contract that the state that had with the city of Tallulah involving us ended on February 17, 2026, and we had agreed to that contract. Right, it came to us. So in order for an extension to be granted, because when the state of emergency ends, we have to sign, we have to actually vote as a body to actually stay up under that. When you look at the law. So, could be wrong, but that's why, from my understanding, the state, I've never seen she likes to do that part. So the state can extend the contract without us participating. And my next question is, how many, cell phones does the city of Tallulah own?
I can't tell you that.
That's not a good
Not
answer.
too many.
Okay. So, Mayor, you know how many cell phones the city of Tallulah own?
Those type of questions, call and answer today so we can get the information. I'm not gonna try to shoot from the hip and say, oh, we have 5, when we really have whatever the number is. You could simply ask that, and the information would be here at the meeting for you. No, I don't know exactly how many cell phones we have.
But see, that's disturbing. Because we're paying we're paying cell phone bills every month. So who's monitoring the uses of these phones? Because the city's paying for them, we be monitoring the usage of them. We need to know who has them. When I order helmets, I know I got 62 helmets in my locker room.
Yeah. All that is easily obtainable.
It's not good. And it says that we're paying bank transfer fees. How many banks are we paying transfer fees to?
Transfer fees.
Fees, yeah. It says bank transfer fees.
Where are you seeing that?
On expenses. If you go to consolidated department, it'll be a lot easier because it's got everything there.
Where?
I'm sorry, bank charges, bank charges,
Bank what?
bank charges.
Oh, bank charges, yeah. Well, okay, bank charge, yeah. I'll tell you why, because, we do a lot, banks give you a lot more, services than they used to. And, we have much more access to electronic computerized banking, and, they charge you for it. And you have a lot of, you can pull up and see where you are with any one account. You have much more, activity that you can engage in that's so much easier and saves you time. And these banks don't give it away. And there's a lady who can explain all that to you.
It's a for-profit organization, so yes, they're gonna charge you.
But you have high, your bank has high
Hey,
charges too.
let's let Councilman Wells go ahead.
And then also I noticed that, what is NSF checks mean?
It's a check. We don't have very much of this at all. What we would, the old expression is a hot check.
And so we have, like $630 in non-sufficient funds and checks.
But we get most of that money back, whatever the person, bounced a check on us, like if someone paid a water bill and the check bounced, we cut the water off, we get our money, but the charge still shows up,
So do we add it to the person's bill when it comes back? Or is that a loss for us?
In other words, it's not lost because we get our money.
So do we add a penalty to it? For it being
Yes,
non-sufficient?
we do, like, $20.
Okay, but I got some other stuff I need email to the mayor about on some concerns when it comes to the finances. And I also want to give a copy of the city of Tallulah's travel policy, not a generic policy.
I still say that we have one of our own.
But that's why I want a copy of it. That's why I stated the email, a copy of the city of Tallulah's
Okay,
travel policy.
all right. Are there any other questions on, anything from the audience? Mr. Mitchell? Mr. Mitchell? Mr. Mitchell, I'm gonna ask you, sir, to come forward, okay, with your comment, okay?
Mr. Odom, I had the same question about the NSF, just like he did, in that sufficient fund anywhere in the world. You say you get your money back, why isn't it zero? Say you get your funds back from the system, why isn't it zero?
I'm not hearing you.
Why isn't it zero? NSF, you say you get the money back from the customer, they repay you, right?
Right.
So you pay the bill, so why isn't that line zero? Why shouldn't it always be zero?
Well, the charge stays. It's just that you've got you go against it with the money you've got to, you'll debit that account and then you credit the account. There's always gonna be some, this is the process that you show up. And so when you look at financial statements, when you cut off that month, you may have been in a situation where you had 2 or 3 checks that were outstanding, had bounced, so to speak, and no one had, if we had not gotten to the point that it showed up that they were taken care of. So, I mean, it's ever changing, it never.
Or you don't get the money back in a timely fashion. That's why you have balances on there. And once you get the money that they owe you, that account should go to zero.
Yeah.
That's why it's not at zero.
If it's not, then there's a check that hasn't been gotten yet or whatever. In other words, there's some that's still hanging.
That's what I said, that maybe they caught up with your
Right.
your account.
But that doesn't mean that we won't. And if that person, like, for example, needs water and wants water, they will figure out a way to get it paid for or make the check to it.
I just want to make sure that was clear there, because everybody in itself gets everybody's attention everywhere. Okay? All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So, Mayor, at any point, would this administration ever consider allowing the council to see as a whole, not just me coming to the office, I did work. At any time, would this administration consider allowing the council to see bills for payment?
So, what I've said before in the past is, if I'm understanding you correctly, we want copies of all of the bills that come in every month. Right, to be paid.
No, I didn't say of the bills every month. Like I said, you pay bills, like you got the financials for January. Those bills been paid. So now we're in last week in February. So we just saw January's bills for payment tonight. So I know we're gonna be like a month behind. Because when you look at the finance, when I look at the bank statements, you see individuals on there that's receiving monies, that's not seeing employees. We hadn't seen any type of contracts or written agreement for these individuals to be getting paid. And I looked at past audits, and we got in trouble several years ago about paying people as independent contractors that was not part of the city. And we also got cited when we had I'm just want to ask about cell phones, because they started saying we weren't monitoring our cell phones and the bills were extremely high. So we got individual cell phones and there's no accountability on who has the cell phone, how much their bills are they using it for personal business, or what is it for? So I'm gonna send an email requesting that. I got it. I think I did send them to make sure about a copy of how many cell phones we have, who all homes, who all is in possession of those cell phones. Y'all sent an email this morning way back. Who all in possession of those cell phones and who's monitoring the usage. Because that's called being financially responsible, which is what we're supposed to be doing.
So I think the question was about seeing the bills after they've been paid.
Yes, ma'am.
And it would again mean making all of those copies for all of the bills that we did. And no, I don't think that's something that we need to do.
What about just?
Here's something.
Hold on, everybody, hold on, just 1 second, I'm gonna let you speak, okay? You guys did ask to see copies of the checks, correct? Okay, and you have been given those, right? That's where Councilman Wells is asking the question about an individual who may got a check for $150, and it turns out they did something at the Teddy Bear Fest, or whatever the case may be. There's always backup behind every check, always. So once you ask for the checks, we're giving you guys the checks. And, that's where we are.
I wasn't asking for checks. I was
Ask
asking.
for checks,
No.
because we're giving them to you.
No. I asked for
The check register that he does.
Well, no, Ms. Houston made that suggestion. And that's what Ms. Lewis went with. I asked for bills for payment.
Invoices? You want invoices?
I want bills for pay, whether it's invoices, checks that are written, I want to see where it's going.
Invoices. Can you do that? Can we do
Yes.
that?
No, that's what has, this is what has to happen.
Okay.
As a council, see, that's why for you candidates that's running for city council, understand what you're supposed to be able to do. As a council, we can direct that to happen. It is not to be optional for the mayor. But for some reason, you all won't go along with that. I don't wanna know why.
And the reason why is, I have told you guys before, we get probably, 200 bills a month? So that's 1,000 copies every time? That just, it makes no sense. You all get paid too. Y'all get paid $1,000. So if you want to see them, then make the time to come up to City Hall.
This is what I find disturbing. This is what I find
I'm still
disturbing.
speaking.
Every
I'm still
municipality,
speaking, sir.
every municipality.
I'm still speaking, sir.
Okay, hurry up.
Okay.
So I'm ready to go.
You know what?
No,
We have a motion to adjourn.
I knew you were gonna do that. I knew you were gonna do that.
That's it.
Howard.
Yeah, you're right, you're not gonna talk to me.
You told me about this.
You try to do everybody else in this kind of way. You shut the hell up.
I'm gonna.
Hey, Wilson. You gonna tell me to shut up?
Wilson.
You got yourself. Hey, I got a job. You need one. I own a corporation.
Stop.
Always believe that.
Stop.
And a major.
Wilson.
Speaking out loud.